Hey, I'm Mark Thompson, just your average 35-year-old software engineer. For a while, I thought I was living the dream. A solid job, a nice house in the suburbs, and a wife I adored. Olivia and I had been married for 7 years, and I was convinced we were rock solid. It was a Friday night, and I was on top of the world. I just landed a massive project at work that came with a sweet bonus. I couldn't wait to share the news with Olivia. As I stepped through the door, grinning like an idiot, I called out, "Liv, you home?" She peeked out from the kitchen. "Hey, babe. What's got you so happy?" I wrapped her in a hug. "You're looking at the new lead on the quantum project." "Oh my God, Mark. That's amazing." She squeezed me tight. "We should celebrate." "Definitely," I said, matching her excitement. "What did you have in mind?" She gave me that playful look I loved. "How about a weekend getaway? We could drive up to that little B&B in the mountains." "Sounds perfect," I agreed. "We can leave tomorrow morning." But then her face fell a bit. "Oh shoot, I forgot. I've got that open house tomorrow afternoon. How about we drive separately, and I'll join you as soon as I'm done?" I was a little disappointed, but I brushed it off. That's life when you're married to a real estate hotshot, right? "No problem, babe. I'll get everything set up." Later that night, my buddy Jack called. "Hey man, heard about the big project. We've got to celebrate." "Thanks, but Liv and I are heading out of town tomorrow." "Gotcha. Well, have a great time, and congrats again. You deserve it." What I didn't know was that this conversation with Jack would be the last normal moment of my life for a long, long time. The next morning, I kissed Olivia goodbye and hit the road. The drive was stunning, winding mountain roads with breathtaking views. I was about an hour out when it happened. Taking a sharp curve, a massive truck suddenly came barreling around the corner, way over the center line. I swerved hard to avoid it. The last thing I remember was the sickening crunch of metal and the world spinning out of control. Then, nothing. Just darkness. When I finally came to, everything was a blur: pain, confusion, the beeping of machines, and the sterile smell of a hospital. A nurse leaned over me, her face full of concern. "Mr. Thompson, can you hear me?" I tried to speak, but my throat was raw. All I managed was a weak nod. "You've been in an accident," she explained gently. "You're in the ICU. You've been unconscious for 3 days." 3 days? My mind spun. Where was Olivia? Why wasn't she here? As if reading my thoughts, the nurse added, "We've been trying to reach your wife, but haven't had any luck. Is there someone else we can call for you?" I croaked out Jack's name and number. As the nurse left to make the call, I lay there trying to make sense of everything. Where was Olivia? Why hadn't she come looking for me when I didn't show up at the B&B? Little did I know, this was just the beginning of a nightmare that would turn my entire life upside down. The next few days passed in a haze of pain meds, worried doctors, and a growing sense of dread. Every time I asked about Olivia, the nurses just shook their heads. No one had heard from her. Finally, Jack showed up. The look on his face said it all before he even spoke. "Mark, buddy, how you feeling?" I tried to laugh, but it came out as a wheeze. Like I got hit by a truck. Oh wait, I did. Jack forced a smile, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Listen, there's something you need to know." My stomach tightened. "Just spit it out, Jack." He took a deep breath. "I saw Olivia last night, at Chia-Pierre." "Okay," I said slowly. "And she wasn't alone, Mark. She was with a guy. They looked close." The heart monitor started beeping faster. "What do you mean, close?" Jack looked away, his voice strained. "Holding hands across the table. Laughing. She kissed him, Mark." It felt like a punch to the gut. There has to be some explanation. Maybe it was her brother or something. "Mark, Jack said gently, "You know Olivia doesn't have a brother." I closed my eyes, and the memories rushed in. Olivia's late nights at the office, how she'd started pulling away when I tried to hug her, the mysterious texts she'd been hiding. "For me, I need you to do something for me, Jack," I said quietly, my voice finally steady. "I need you to dig, find out everything you can about this guy." Jack nodded solemnly. "You got it, buddy. I'm on it." After he left, I lay there, staring at the ceiling, trying to make sense of everything. That's when Sarah from work showed up. "Hey, boss," she said, forcing a smile as she pulled a chocolate bar from her bag. "Brought you some contraband." I managed a weak smile. "Sarah, you're a lifesaver." She sat beside me, and we talked shop for a while, discussing the quantum project. It was nice to focus on something other than a hole in my chest. But just as she was leaving, she hesitated. "Mark, I don't want to overstep, but have you checked your bank accounts lately?" I frowned. "No? Why?" Sarah bit her lip. "There are some rumors going around the office about Olivia. That she's been spending a lot." My stomach twisted as I pulled out my phone, my hands trembling. Opening my banking app, my heart nearly stopped. Every account, drained, credit cards, maxed out. "Oh God," I whispered, feeling the weight of betrayal hit me all over again. Sarah squeezed my hand. "I'm so sorry, Mark. If there's anything I can do." I nodded numbly, my mind racing. How could Olivia do this? What was she thinking? The next day, Jack returned, his face grim. "I've got news," he said, "and it's not good." He told me everything. Olivia had been having an affair with her boss, Tom, for 2 years. They had been planning this for months, but that wasn't all. "There's more," Jack said cautiously. "Rachel's here. She wants to talk to you." Rachel, Olivia's sister, entered the room looking wrecked, like she hadn't slept in days. "Mark, I'm so sorry," she said, her voice cracking. "I had no idea Olivia could do something like this." "What do you know?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. Rachel took a deep breath. "Olivia and Tom. They've been embezzling from the real estate company. They're planning to leave the country." I choked out the only word I could manage. "Why? Why would she do this?" Rachel shook her head, tears in her eyes. "I don't know, Mark. I just don't know." After what felt like an eternity, I was finally discharged from the hospital. Jack drove me home, but as soon as we pulled up to the house, I knew something was off. The moment I stepped inside, my worst fears were confirmed. Half the furniture was gone, along with most of our shared belongings. "She really did it," I muttered, sinking onto the bare mattress. "She's gone." Jack put a hand on my shoulder. "I'm sorry, man." I called the police, but as expected, there wasn't much they could do. Joint accounts meant Olivia had as much right to the money as I did. The following weeks were a blur. I tried to focus on work, but everything reminded me of Olivia. The empty closet, the missing photos, the silence where her laughter used to be. I was drowning, unable to see any way out. Then, one day, Sarah showed up at my door, holding a stack of files. "Enough moping," she announced, marching into the house. "We've got a project to save." I blinked at her, confused. "What project?" "The quantum project," she said, setting the files down with a thud. "You're still the lead, remember? I'm not letting you tank your career over that witch." For the first time in weeks, I felt a flicker of something. Not quite hope, but close. "Okay," I said slowly. "Where do we start?" Sarah grinned. "That's the spirit. Now let's talk quantum algorithms." As we worked, I started to feel more like myself. Sarah was patient, covering for me when I faltered, never once complaining. One night, after a long day of work, I looked at her. "Why are you doing all this?" She shrugged. because you're my friend, and because you'd do the same for me. Meanwhile, Jack and Rachel had become my unexpected allies, working tirelessly to uncover every lie Olivia had spun. They combed through her digital trail, exposing a web of deceit that made my head spin. "Look at this," Jack said one afternoon, pointing to his laptop. "Credit card statements from accounts you didn't even know existed." Rachel nodded grimly. "And these work trips. They match up perfectly with Tom's travel schedule." I felt sick to my stomach. "How long has this been going on?" Rachel sighed. "From what we can tell, at least 3 years. 3 years. Half of our marriage had been a lie." Just when I thought things couldn't get worse, I got a call from an unknown number. "Is this Mark Thompson?" a woman's voice asked. "Yes," I replied cautiously. "Who's this?" "My name is Karen," she said, her voice tight with emotion. "I'm Tom's wife." I nearly dropped the phone. "Tom's what?" "I know," she said bitterly. "Believe me, I was just as shocked as you are. I've had my suspicions for a while, but I had no idea it went this far." "How did you get my number?" I asked, my head spinning. "I've been doing some digging of my own," Karen replied, "and I think we can help each other." As Karen laid out what she had discovered, a plan started forming in my mind. I might not be able to undo what Olivia and Tom had done, but I could damn well make sure they didn't get away with it. "Jack," I called out, "get Rachel over here and Sarah too. We've got work to do." As my friends gathered around, I felt a surge of determination. Olivia and Tom thought they had left me with nothing, but they had forgotten one crucial thing. I'm a software engineer, and in this digital age, information is power. "Okay, team," I said, booting up my laptop. "Let's talk about how we're going to take down a pair of lying, cheating embezzlers." The next few weeks were a whirlwind of activity. I threw myself into our plan, channeling all my anger and hurt into something productive. My first move was to set up an anonymous tip line for financial fraud. It was child's play for someone with my skills. "You sure this can't be traced back to us?" Jack asked, peering over my shoulder. I smirked. "Please. I could do this in my sleep." Meanwhile, Karen was proving to be an invaluable ally. She'd have been keeping meticulous records of Tom's shady dealings for months. "I always knew he was up to something," she said, handing over a thick folder. "I just never imagined it was this bad." Sarah was working overtime to keep me afloat at work, running interference with the higher-ups to ensure my job was secure while I focused on recovery and our little side project. "The board meeting went great," she reported one afternoon. "They're impressed with the progress on quantum. Despite everything, I couldn't have done it without you, Sarah." Rachel was on a mission of her own. She had gone to the real estate licensing board with a dossier of Olivia's unethical practices. "They're launching a full investigation," she told me, grinning. "Liv's license is as good as gone." Jack was working his magic in the media world, bit by bit leaking the story of Olivia and Tom's betrayal. "Just wait," he said, rubbing his hands together. "Tomorrow's headline is going to blow their minds." True to his word, the next day's papers were plastered with photos of Olivia and Tom, along with details of their affair and financial misdeeds. The final nail in the coffin came when authorities froze Olivia and Tom's overseas accounts. All that money they had stolen, all those dreams built on lies, gone in an instant. As the dust settled, I found myself thriving. The quantum project was a massive success, earning me a promotion and the respect of the entire company. My recovery was going well, and for the first time in months, I felt like myself again. Then, out of the blue, my phone rang. It was a number I had deleted but could never forget. "Mark." Olivia's voice was small, desperate. "Please, I need your help. We've lost everything. I made a terrible mistake." I let out a long breath. "You're right, Olivia. You did make a mistake. Several, actually. But they're not my problem anymore. But Mark. Goodbye, Olivia, I said firmly, hanging up. As I set the phone down, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. It was over. Really, truly over. A year later, I stood in my new office, looking out over the city. The news played in the background, reporting on Olivia and Tom's upcoming trial. They were facing multiple fraud charges and years in prison. A knock at the door pulled me from my thoughts. It was Sarah, smiling that smile that never failed to make my heart skip. "Ready for dinner?" she asked. I grinned, taking her hand. "Absolutely." As we walked out together, I marveled at how much had changed. A year ago, I thought my life was over. Now I knew it was just beginning. Olivia and Tom had tried to destroy me, but instead, they had made me stronger than ever. As I stepped into the warm evening with Sarah by my side, I knew one thing for certain. The best revenge truly is living well. And now, I have a question for you. If you were in my shoes, could you ever forgive someone who betrayed you as deeply as Olivia did? Is there a line that, once crossed, makes reconciliation impossible? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'm really curious to hear your perspectives on this. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more like it, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Your support means the world to me and helps me continue sharing these real-life experiences. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you in the next video.